MindSense.
Hi, welcome back. This is your host, Meena Jade. Time to cut the nonsense and let's talk MindSense.
मन की बातें तो होती रहेंगी. Keep watching MindSense. मैं हूँ आपकी host Sarita Chen. And today in the studio we have an international guest,
Wow!
retired officer Jitendra Singh from
Yes.
USA. So
Welcome.
welcome to our show, Jitendra.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Appreciate this so humble state or city, state, country.
Province, yeah.
Province, okay, there
Province
you
of British Columbia. So, Jitendra, first, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, and we introduced it as retired officer Jitendra Singh. So, walk us with your journey from where you're born
Sure.
to retirement.
So I was born and raised in Fiji. At the age of 18, moved to US. Stayed in California pretty much until now. Well, still there actually. Until now, meaning I'm over
Yeah.
here now. So I've been over there and went to school, graduated in California. Doing lots of different jobs, and eventually I got influenced of, becoming a cop. So I became a cop.
So you said influenced. So what influenced you joining the police force?
So as I said before, that I had, worked in many different jobs, and one of the jobs was bartending.
Oh.
So most, yes.
So
it was-
bartending influenced you to be a cop. Wow!
No, that was the most fun job that you ever can have.
Yeah.
And lots of my customers were police officers, and they
Okay.
said, "Hey, why don't you just join the police department?" And that's how it happened. And I tried it. There was a reserve program on it, so I tried that. And then maybe I should do it full time, and I did that. So I retired at 23. After 23 years.
Wow. So, Jitendra, I know I do follow you. So you also come from a family of police officers.
Yes.
So, I know that probably when you joined the police force, your family must have been very happy because you want to share a little bit about your family background in the police force.
So I'm a third generation police officer
Wow.
in my own family. My grandfather was, my dad was, and obviously I am. My nephew wants to be one, so we'll see what happens. So now,
generation.
so that might be the fourth generation, yes.
And also you said that you've done quite a few number of jobs before you went into the police force. Tell us a little bit about did you have a passion for what you wanted to be, or was it, I don't want to give away the question, but yeah, tell us a little bit about what you were passionate about doing.
So my passion was to become an architect. That was one of the things that I wanted to do. I love drawing and inventing things or making drawings of it. And I guess a little bit of police work from my family just kind of drew me that way. And here I am.
But now that you are retired, would you ever think about pursuing your passion?
Probably. It's a long process, so who knows? Maybe I will.
Yeah.
Not sure yet.
And again, you are still quite young and retired, so you do have the time. So we hope that you get to do what you are passionate about. So Jitendra, now let's talk about a little bit about your work life. Your policing work life. Highlight some of the events that you want to share with us.
Yeah. So 23 years of any police work, or even many more years after 23, is a lot of hardship in different ways. First of all, you have to be emotionally attached to it. You have people coming to you. You have this different things going on for you as a police officer. So one of the things that I did for myself was to separate my life after work hours versus home hours. So that's one of the things I did, was basically separate myself. When I left work, I left work. I didn't think of like, okay, well, did I do good on this case or anything like that, or do I need to call back, or something like that. So I always separated it, and that is for my well-being than anything else.
So just a question regarding that. So you separated it, but I guess you still are an officer. So even though you're not working and somebody's breaking the law, are you like, I'm not working?
Well, it's not that. It's not really like that because, you know, as a police officer, you are 24 hours, you're really a police officer. Yes, if you do something that you may have to get involved in it. At the same time, you separate yourself by mentally, you know, get your work, whatever you did for that particular day, away from your everyday work. I mean, at home, I should say, yeah.
So I think you mentioned it, you know, you are emotionally involved.
Yes.
You know, in the work, every day is a different day, every case is a different case for a police officer, and the call you get, you know, then only you know what you're getting yourself into, or until you arrive on scene, and even at the scene, things change.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would think that without that kind of discipline to separate yourself for self-care or your well-being, you would be constantly wearing the uniform 24/7 if you couldn't separate.
Yes. So, as I said, you're 24 hours a cop anyways, but, you know, there's certain things that you keep in the back of your mind. For instance, if you go to a restaurant, okay, you always think of, okay, where am I going to be sitting, for instance? I mean, that is one of the things for me, is that where am I going to be sitting? Can I see the front door and things like that? And look at the people. I look at people everywhere I go. I mean, sometimes my fiance says that, oh, hey, maybe you should be doing that. Yes, I do that. I look at people, and it's just because you get trained doing that, things like that, then you seem to do that.
So it kind of ingrains into, it becomes you know, it's ingrained into your nature. Then
Yes.
it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions? I feel like I have so many questions.
So, you know, it's not like we're saying, policing or being the police officer, it's not one of those jobs where, this is my set schedule, this is what I have to do, where, you know, you go into an office, these are my jobs, this is what I have to do. So it's a situation, you don't know what's going to come up. Some are more stressful, some are less stressful. How, you know, and sometimes it does take an impact on us. So you talked about separating that and leaving that at work. How did you do that mentally?
Yeah. So mentally, I mean, okay, the first thing is, like, none of the cases is the same. It's not like, you know, if you go to a 9-to-5 job that or an accountant, for instance, right? So you know that somebody's going to come with you with some sort of accounting issues, and then, you know, it's going to be the same situation. So yes, when we respond to calls, it may seem the same calls, but it's never the same. Because the situations are always, something's always different. Yes, the law is the same, right? I mean, you know, the law basically spells out what you shouldn't have done and what you should do.
Yes.
And things like that. Yes, that stays the same, but when you go over to the person's house, things have changed. Because that person may have a different, mentally, that person may not be the right way. And then you have to act the same way, trying to resolve that issue. So it's the same thing. What I do for myself is, the one thing I do is basically talk to people. Like after work, among our group of people, before we go home, we're just like, oh yeah, hey, what did you think of this case? And I did this and I did that. And then we just kind of evaluate that way. And then to separate it, for me, I mean, it might have worked for me. It may not work for everyone. I mean, everyone has their own different ways of doing it. But for me, I just left it at work. I didn't, like, as I said before, I don't go home like, oh, let me call somebody and see if that case went okay, or if something happens. And yes, there are instances where maybe something's not what you should have written on the report wasn't written on a report, or maybe somebody needs to review something, or maybe yes, they do call and then, like, you do fix things like that. But you don't come over to your significant other or anybody else and say, oh, hey, I did this at work today, and you start discussing that. Basically, at work you already discussed and you did what actions you took. Then you come home and do the same thing with your significant other. You're not separating yourself, right? I mean, your family life should be your family life. And that's what I did for myself, was basically separating the work and family life.
Jitendra, describe, it's, you know, wearing a gun and a baton and a beautiful uniform and a hat is not like a very like, you know, somebody looking at a person in uniform is a very glamorous job. But I'm sure this glamour also comes with so many challenges. Would you care to share an event that happened while you were at work that left that was a traumatic experience for you?
Yes. So I said 23 years. Now, 23 years is not like just sailing.
Yeah.
Sailing,
The
nothing
seas.
happens in your life and it keeps on going. No, it doesn't happen that way. You do have some challenges and things like that, or you have a challenging case. And one of the instances that happened to me was I almost got killed in line of duty. And one of the case was pretty simple. You know, basically somebody said, oh yeah, there's somebody who's yelling at their parents or somebody in the house. No problem. We arrived there. This person was yelling. We heard them. And then, you know, it was like, okay, well, this is a little more than just anybody yelling, because, I mean, you know, this is a little bit more heightened. You know, you could hear voices and angry voices. So you can hear all that stuff. So when we arrived over there, we took, you know, with caution going in and trying to meet people. And at the end, not at the end, but as we approached the house, there's this guy came out with a gun. And without saying anything else, he just started shooting at us. Luckily, that we were able to run away from that and survive, and we all survived it.
Yeah.
So those, like, but that particular instance we'll use. So you know what, we all go through traumatic experiences in our life, and we all need to have measures in place how we do self-care, how we, because otherwise we let that consume us, or we need to have measures in place as to how we can go back to work again, you know, by being fully present and fully capable. So what are some of the things you did or you still do for your self-care? Like, how do you get over those kind of instances?
So just like cases, there's traumas. And in my case, there was a trauma. Even though it didn't register to me at that time, because it was just more like police work. And right after the shooting and everything else, I just continued doing my work. And the next day was my days off. The day when I came back from my days off, and that's when I realized, like, oh, wait a minute, I went through something. And other people, you know, like, hey, how you doing? Is everything okay? So for me was that I needed to talk to people, and I did that. So the good thing about police work is that we do have good sets of people who have had knowledge and have had maybe similar situations or any kind of trauma situations. So we talk to people.
So be a
And that's what
support.
I did. I speak to people. I speak about the situation like I'm doing right now. I mean, it's not something to be hidden. Because once you hide things, that means it stays in you and basically just kind of grows and grows and grows. And suicide in police officers is very, very high.
The rate is very high.
And it's because people think that police officers are heroes, which they are in some instances.
But they're not.
But they're
supposed
heroes,
to.
but they're not supposed to say things how they feel right now and things like that. So my suggestion is just be open.
And also, like, you know, things like that, it's expected or it's part of the job, normalizing, even though it's traumatic experience. You know, and you might be a police officer, but you're also a human being.
Yes.
And, you know, and the training that you get, yes, you will face these situations and these happen, doesn't mean to say these are normal situations. These still happen, and how you feel. And, you know, having those supports and channeling within yourself and realizing that, yes, I should speak about this.
Yeah. And quite often you hear people say, oh, he's a police officer. He's trained, so he should be able to handle those things. People often say, it's okay, that's his job.
Yeah.
Or even as an officer would say, hey, I'm trained for it. I should be able to handle it because I handle every other case. So why not handle this? But what it does internally is basically, you know, makes you emotionally and your head starts spinning and everything else. So you need to basically be open to everybody and
So self-care.
and start yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, talk about self-cares and things like that. Yes.
So Titin, so you mentioned that the suicide rate in police officers is so high, and also we're so thankful that you are here within us. You know, you survived. You know, you didn't get caught in the line of fire, and you're still here with us. But we always listen to stories and news that how many officers are killed in the line of
Yes.
duty. It doesn't matter what country it is.
Yes.
You know, from every country we hear news of fallen heroes.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Fallen heroes.
Mhm.
Can I show you something?
Yes. Yes.
So one of my fallen hero is this gentleman right here.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it
Turn
the
it
other way.
around.
Oh,
Upside
I'm sorry.
down. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
So
you guys
because
may have
Sandeep
known
Singh
him.
Dhaliwal,
Yes.
yeah.
Officer Sandeep Singh
So,
Dhaliwal.
now
Mhm.
It was on the internet.
Yes, he's one of my heroes.
Mhm.
We all know that he's not and never ever going to be here.
Mhm.
The other person is Ronil Singh. You
Mhm.
probably heard of him. He's
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
Fiji
from
Islands. He
Fiji, yeah.
was in Fiji Islands.
And
Now
many,
this-
many more. Many,
Many-
many on a
these are
daily
the only,
basis.
yes,
Yeah.
these are the only few people that I'm just kind of showing you this because these are my heroes, and what I do for them
Mhm.
is that I ride bicycles. I ride bicycle 300 miles from New Jersey to DC for them.
So it's
So
an
in honor
organized
of them.
biker tour.
Yes.
Mhm.
So the gentleman organized a bicycle tour from New Jersey to DC in 1997,
Mhm.
and since then, this is what we do. Basically, trying to remember these officers who cannot be here anymore.
Mhm.
When we ride our bicycle, we basically carry this placard or any memorials that we think that we have, bracelets and things like that. We carry that with us because we feel that their spirit is with us. Those 300 miles. We arrive at DC where we have the police officers memorial out there, and we meet the families and things like that. And the bottom line over here is that we want to be able to carry them because they are not here
Yeah.
to do the same thing for us. And this is more meaningful for me because, as I said, that I almost got killed in line of duty. So this is very in line with what I believe in. I'm really totally passionate about this. I like this group of people that we have, and unfortunately, not only in U.S. but everywhere else, police officers are getting killed in line of duty, and there's fathers, there's brothers, sisters, and whoever it is.
Sons and
Ronil got killed. He had his last meal with his family on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Only a few hours later, he got killed. So these are the things that I do.
So Jitendra, you mentioned the bike ride from New Jersey to Washington. So is this ride is a U.S. group of police officers doing? Tell us a bit about that.
It is mostly U.S.,
Mhm.
but it is open for almost everyone.
Like globally,
Yes.
all the police.
We have Israeli police officers come over there. We
Mm.
even had Canadians come over there. We got people from Canada, from London coming over there. So yes, it's pretty globally known for that.
So basically, you think that when a family member dies, we honor our family member with a placard, or we donate a bench in the park or something like that. But obviously, from police officers, the ones that have survived or the ones that are riding the bike, and trying to understand, they're carrying the legacy of the fallen heroes.
Yes.
It's actually not fallen heroes. It was officers killed in the line of duty.
Yes. But at the same time, we're carrying them, but at the same time, we're meeting the family.
Yeah.
We're meeting somebody's wife, somebody's children, somebody's brothers, sister, mother, father, whoever it might be. And when you ride into DC and you see all these lines of people just waving and waiting for us, for me, it is probably one of the most emotional things that I've done. Where even like I'm
Yeah.
watery eyes just thinking of that. You ride for the people.
Yeah.
You see them, and they are there clapping and waving flags and things like that. But when you actually meet them, you can see the pain on them. It's not something that anybody expects
Yeah.
for somebody to be killed in line of duty or to be dead anyways. In Ronil's case, he had a very young child who probably will never ever know how his dad was. Whatever the videos that the mother has, and that's about all he's going to have. So, that goes with not only Ronil and Sandeep, but other people as well. There's thousands of getting killed right now.
So you mentioned the memorial. How is it maintained? There's so many officers killed in the
Yeah.
line of duty, and you mentioned I did was established in 1997, so going on,
Yeah.
25 years coming up. So how is that possible? How is it maintained?
So this bicycle ride
Mm-hmm.
is the main force behind it. We do fundraising for this. Each one of us at least have $2,100 of donations that we have to participate. We have to have $2,100 of donations on it.
So the officers
those-
are putting their own money
Yes,
and
yes,
raising
yes.
funds to, okay.
Yes, and I said, this is from New Jersey to DC. Everything we do, and I live in California, and I actually fly to New Jersey for it. I take my bicycle, I take my, flights and everything else. That's all on me to do that.
So the pride.
Aside
of-
from
yeah.
$2,100, these are the things that we do, and I don't think any one of us participating in this really said, hey, well, I gotta pay for this flight or anything like that. We don't do that because at the end, when we ride into DC, I mean, we see the family members. I mean, it's all worth it.
I think listening to you, I'm getting all teary-eyed, but I do want to mention when I first met you, you had said to me, I have two families, my family and then my police family. So we can understand how important, there's a culture amongst the police force, the police family itself.
Yeah. So, yes, there is. Two families.
Yeah.
For me, it is two families. My immediate family is always going to be my immediate
Yeah.
family, right? I mean, they will understand me more than anybody else. But we have this police side where we understand each other of how and what we go through.
Yeah.
It's almost like the office 9 to 5 office people. I mean, yes, they do have families, but the 9 to 5 people also have their little family
Yeah,
among
yeah,
themselves, and they know
The culture.
culture itself and what they have gone through. Like I mentioned, accounting. Yeah, they know that okay, this
Yeah.
may be a hard customer or something like that. It's the same thing with us. So yes, there is two sets of families, and yes, I do have my second family, and to this day, even I've retired, more than a year and a half now, they call me and say, hey, how you doing? How's everything going? And we do the same thing.
Yeah, because once a family, you never, you don't change your family. You are a part of that family forever.
Yeah, but on the other hand is also your good portion of your day is spent with them. So I mean, I was over there for 10 hours, and if I worked overtime or something like that, I'm over there more hours, right? So you spend good portion of your day with the people that you have worked with. So it becomes that second nature to be with them.
And so that is, like you said, a big chunk of your time is spent, working in your job, whatever profession you do. So now you're retired. How is that, like the transition to retire, being retired?
And COVID.
Well, I retired in December of 2019. So soon after that, then the
COVID
COVID hit. So my goal of retirement was to travel. Well, guess what? COVID has basically put a stop to it for now. But it is a stressless feeling right now. So it's a good thing. I enjoy things now more than what I probably did before. I get to come and visit people when I want to and stay as long as I want to. So things like that, yes. And you don't have to be restricted like, oh, I got 2 weeks. I gotta get
Use
back
my
to work
vacation.
again.
Yeah.
So you have 2 weeks, but the second week you're gonna have to start thinking like, okay, well, when I go back to work, I have to do all this stuff. So retirement is great.
Jitendra, I know we don't have much time left, but you are a retired police officer on our show, and we are here, two women. I would like to hear from you some of the tips you can give us, and you have been in Canada quite often, and you see the culture, the cultures are different from different countries, and so give us some tips about how, like safety tips, like what do you want to
Safety.
tell us?
Well, as you said, right, that once you're a cop, you're a cop. So those are the things, and I look at people, and those are the things that I look at, like, oh, hey, she left the shopping bag, her purse on the shopping bag and then doing something
cart.
else. And then, what if somebody just snatches it and goes away? And sometimes I just feel like doing that too. And so those are the things. You got to be aware of your environment. No matter where you are, what country you are, you're always going to have to do that. One of the things that we do for police things, you got to watch your back, right? There's no eyes behind you, so you got to watch your back. And every now and then you should turn around and see who's around you, not just be totally focused on your phone or anything like that, and not thinking.
Oh, not the tunnel vision.
Yeah, and that's what happens, because you get tunnel vision, right? I mean, and if you're going shopping, for instance, you get, oh, well, I gotta get this milk, I gotta get this bread, and whatever, and that's all you're focusing on, but you're not focusing on something else. I think the biggest tip is that you gotta watch
Focus
360,
on your environment.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah. And bottom line is, you can go to the most expensive restaurant. It doesn't mean that nothing can happen there.
That's so true.
So, I mean, if you go in there, fine, no problem. But just watch it where you are.
It's very important to be aware of your surrounding.
Yep.
And I know I'm guilty of that because I feel like I feel so free all the time. I leave my stuff in the car, walk or whatever. But that's a
You
very
should
good,
listen to.
yeah, so it's a very good tip, and yeah, it's learning. And in the last minute, it has happened to me where that he did take my bag and walked out the store.
Ran.
And he said, this is to teach a lesson because this could have happened
It
to
can
you.
happen,
So
yes.
it can happen to anybody. It's so important.
Yeah. And so we're out of time, but I want to thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
And it's
Appreciate
been
that.
a pleasure talking to you. And
Same
hopefully
over here.
when you do come back again, we'll have you again on the show.
Okay, very
Yes.
good.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best for the
your
next
retirement.
ride that the police unit to a ride that will be
Yes.
doing in so. And to everyone watching, always support our law enforcement no matter what country you live in. We are safe is because they put on the uniform every day. They are the ones that leave their home, their comfort to keep us safe. So keep watching MindSense. Sarita Chant.
And this is
Thank
Meena
you.
J. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
MindSense.